You are infinitely loved by an infinite God. Everyone you love is infinitely loved by an infinite God, way more than you could ever love them. And everyone you hate is also infinitely loved by that same infinite God, way more powerfully than you could ever hate them. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Love Your Unlovable podcast and YouTube channel. My name is Eileen Chevalier, and it is true that I am wildly unlovable and yet infinitely loved. This is the paradox and the most beautiful thing in all creation, that despite our utter depravity, we have access to a greater love than we could ever imagine, and that it is all we need for peace and joy and excitement and desire and everything. It's everything. So when I started realizing this, I knew that I wanted to share it. And I think for years I've been trying to figure out how to share it, but also not really wanting to share because sharing is really hard. But eventually, I guess I just got to the point where not sharing is too painful. Like, I knew this before. A friend asked me if I was scared of, you know, giving away everything to have the opportunity to tell people the most wonderful thing ever. I mean, she didn't say it in those words, but that's sort of what she was asking. And I was like, no, I'm really afraid of not doing it. I'm afraid of chickening out and not taking the plunge and not risking and not putting myself out there. But that was like 5 years ago. So clearly, oh wait, no, that was 8 years ago. So it's hard, right? It's hard to share, and it's hard to have the courage to share, and especially when it's things that are frankly totally embarrassing, because I'm going to tell you guys all the awful things that are true about me because I want you to know that you're not alone. And I can say that because we are all terrible, and that's okay because we're all also infinitely loved. So that's why I created this podcast. And I hope that you will get a lot out of it. I hope that you will learn to laugh at yourself as you laugh at me, and have sympathy for yourself as you have sympathy for me, and have sympathy for the people around you, and have the courage to love them more. So we're going to start on Tuesdays. I will share excerpts from things that I've written. I love writing. I've always loved writing. And then on Fridays, it'll be like a longer normal form podcast. So the first group, it's going to be 8 podcasts. I've already recorded them with my husband. So this started as how to love your unlovable self because I hated myself. I abhorred myself. It was easier for me to love everyone else than it was for me to love myself. And learning how to do that was a very long and difficult process. And so that's what I wanted to share most. But maybe it's easier just to share how to love your unlovable spouse. So that's where I started. So the next 8 weeks are going to be Fridays telling our story and talking about how we've learned to love one another. So Mike and I will do those podcasts together. And the last one will be on Valentine's Day. And then after that, I'll start another series of how to love your unlovable, perhaps self. We'll see where we get to in 8 weeks. But thanks for coming on this journey with me.